Hello, guys. Up next is Know Your Consumer, the psychology behind ticket sales. Co-founder, CMO, and business development of Bizbo. Um, Alon, Al- Alon Alroy is up next, named 40, under 40 young leaders, as well as the top 10 Israeli CMOs. Let's give a warm welcome to Alon Alroy.
Thank you. I think I have that. Hi, everyone. Uh, Great to be here again. I'm going to talk about marketing tactics to increase event registration. We're going to talk about the psychology behind ticket sales. I assume that some of the people here actually run paid events and therefore are interested in hearing some tricks on what drives people to actually take a decision to pay to attend your events. So here we go. The reason that I'm talking about that, I run Visible, which is how we like to call an all-in-one event success platform. So in order to understand how to make our customers more successful, we had to go and actually understand what motivates people to go to your event website and actually purchase a ticket. So some of the things that from that research I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to start with a story. So the year is 1934. Lucky Strike, at the time, the biggest American tobacco company, are having a lot of difficulties with the women demographics. The reason is that the green packaging doesn't go well with their outfits. True story. And George Hill, the president of Lucky Strike at the time, didn't know what to do. He decided to hire this guy, Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays is considered to be the godfather of propaganda. He was one of the leading PR people of his times. So he suggested, okay, if we have a problem with the color, if green doesn't go well with the women demographic, let's just change the color of the packaging. But the president of Lucky Strike was like, we've already invested $65 million in the campaign of launching Lucky Strike with the green branding, so that's a no-go. We need to come up with something else. So the father of propaganda, Bernays, like, okay, if that's what we have to do, if we're stuck with green, so let's just make green the color of fashion. So 1935 already, Bernays suggested that they do the Green Ball, which is a fancy event. He understood the power of events. So at that time, he ran a very prestigious luxury event for New York's elite, that everything was green, from the napkins to the lighting to the food to the dresses. So all of the New York elites embraced the green color, and soon after, again at the end of 1935, green had become the fashion of color of the season in order to help Lucky Strike with their sales to the women demographic. And what's the relation between ticket sales and Lucky Strike? And I think that shows that the item of choice doesn't make a lot of difference. The way consumers make their purchasing decisions are driven by two things. One is perception, and the other one is context. Once you really understand those two, you can know how to drive consumers into the right decision, increase your revenue. And I'm going to talk about three elements related to pricing. The first one is perceived cost. The second is social proof. And the third one is scarcity. Perceived cost. So price is never an absolute number. It's always a relative figure. Think about the last time someone was abroad, for example. Who was outside of the country in the last month? Okay, in the last year. Where did you go to?
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt. What kind of currency? Euro?
Euro.
What is the first thing you do when someone is telling you that piece of that item is cost 50 euros? You do the math to try and say, okay, how much is it in dollars? Because it's all about the perceived cost, all about it's relative to something else. And I'm going to show you a very cool experiment that's also based on a true story. So there is a game theory professor called Professor Dan Ariely that he noticed this ad on the Economist newspaper, the Economist magazine. Not sure if you can read, so I'll read it to you. There are three options here. The first option is to purchase an online subscription for 1 year for $59. Okay. 1 year online subscription for $59. The second option is a print subscription for $125. And the third option is print and web subscription for the same price, also for $125. So Professor Dan Ariely, again, after all, a game theory professor, he called The Economist to try and get an explanation of how come there are two packages for the same price. So someone in The Economist felt as well, but he decided to run an experiment with his then MIT class of 100 students. So he gave them those three options and asked them to, what would they choose if they had the money, what kind of subscription they would want to choose. And not to his surprise, no one chose the second option because you can get print and web subscription for the same price. So you see that 84% chose the deal package, the print and web subscription, and 16% chose the first one. So he told himself, if no one chose the second option, why do we need it? Let's remove that option, go to another group of 100 people, and see what happens. So he went to another group of 100 people, removed the second option, and guess what? The results actually changed. Now, the majority of people chose the first option. From 16%, now it's 68%, and only 32% chose the deal package option of $125. So the second option that although no one chose it, it actually had a role in affecting the decision-making process of the consumer. I'm going to show you how some organizers actually use that when they think about ticket sales for their event and pricing. Social proof. Sometimes it's not only what's on the page, but it's also what's not on the page when people are making decisions these days. 83% of consumers, and this is a study that was very international by Nielsen, it showed that when people get recommendations from their closest circles, family and friends, this is the #1 most credible source for them. And if they know that a friend of them recommended on something, the likelihood of them to actually take a decision, a purchase decision, is the highest. Now, some examples of companies who took that to the extreme, obviously. So this is Yelp. As you probably know, at least in the US, restaurants rise and fall based on Yelp recommendations. And you open Yelp, you see, okay, thousands of people rated this restaurant for 5 stars. For sure I can go. It doesn't matter what the restaurant is writing about themselves. If 1,000 people told me that their sushi is amazing, I'm going to go and try that sushi. Another example is actually Facebook that probably you guys see every day. So check out the banner here. What you actually see in the banner at the top with the red square, you see that Facebook is showing me that 11 of my friends like this BuzzFeed page. But what I'm actually seeing is a BuzzFeed post that no one of my friends actually liked. How Anna Sophia Robb gives 90s trends her own twist. No, a random post. What Facebook is doing, it gives this brand credibility. It actually tells me, your friends like BuzzFeed, and BuzzFeed now published that blog post. So we think you're going to like it too. They lend the credibility I give to my friends to this brand in order to affect my decision if I want to actually go ahead and read that blog post. Another one that I'm sure that you see in all kinds of emails that you get to subscribe to a blog post or even to attend an event. In Taxi Talk, for example, You could have saw maybe join 200 event planners or business event strategists that are attending the Taxi Talk event. And obviously, you do not want to be left behind. So if all of the cool kids are doing it, you want to do that as well. And the third one is scarcity. People obviously want to get what they don't have. And this is making big waves. FOMO companies, companies like Snapchat and like Facebook. I'm sure that there are many, many people here that checked Facebook or Instagram at least 10 times only since they woke up. And everything is driven by FOMO, by the fear of missing out. Like, maybe I missed a picture of my friend eating breakfast. Maybe someone posted something about their kid while I was at a conference. And they took it to the extreme. Now with stories, disappearing messages, they ride on that trend of FOMO, and people are now, okay, if I don't actually check out Instagram now, I'm not going to see the stories because tomorrow they're not going to be there. So now we're definitely at the age of FOMO, and there are ways to take advantage of it to drive economical consumer decisions. And Amazon, what they're doing, I'm not sure if you can read that, but it's actually, the item at the bottom, it says that there are only 5 left in stock, order soon. I'm sure they have more in the stock, by the way. But make no mistake, this small sentence is helping them to drive sales. Exclusivity. So this is an example. Google, not sure if you saw in Dan's presentation before that Android has become by far the most popular operating system. In 2013, Google has launched their OnePlus smartphone. This was one of their milestones to start getting a lot of traction from Apple. And what they did an invite-only methodology to be able to get an invite to get a phone, for the option to purchase a phone and be among the first. What you see in front of you is that since they launched the campaign that you can get a phone by invite only in March of 2014, in January of 2015, that simple page that you just need to add your email for a chance to be one of the first people to get this phone, which is not, by the way, it was not very different in terms of features than all of the other phones that were there, but just the exclusivity element of it caused the website to get 25.6 million visits a month just to sign up to get the phone. To recap some of the lessons learned and what you can actually do with it at events. So talking about perceived costs and getting back to the Economist example. So this is a ticketing widget by one of our customers. So you have here four ticket types. The organizer actually wants the consumers, the attendees, to choose either the VIP pass or the main conference pass, but the all access pass is there to help them take the right decision revenue-wise. And the same example with The Economist, there is a good chance that if we remove the all access pass, people will choose the main conference pass, but it is there because they understand the importance of a relative cost, of perceived cost, of context, and definitely something that I recommend each and every planner, not just to think about, okay, what kind of options, what kind of ticket types, but also what kind of options do I want to suggest in order to drive the option I want my attendees to choose. Social proof. So this is one example how in Bizzabo we take advantage of it to help our customers increase conversions from visiting your event website to actually purchasing a ticket. As you can see here, you have a Faces widget that is called Also Attending. We are an API partner of LinkedIn, which allows us to show you faces of people you already know from LinkedIn who are also attending. So you get to the page and you see familiar faces who are already attending the event, and we know for a fact that it helps people take their decision if they want to actually register for the event or not. The third one is scarcity, and I definitely recommend to use countdown timers below every call to action you want to encourage, whether it's just to communicate that the next ticket sale is running out, that there are only 5 tickets left of that ticket type. You can always come up with more, or that the event is 5 days away, or that 500 people have already registered, and you can be very specific here. 500 event planners from the New York area who are already learning about the newest trends, register here. Another thing is obviously the invite only. There are technologies that can help you manage an invite, apply to attend process, something that among your portfolio of events, I definitely recommend to test out an invite only, even if you're going to be very generous with the invitations. And getting back to Bernays, the father of propaganda, that people are really aware of the mechanism that motivate their actions, and as people who have the ability to set prices, you definitely need to take advantage of it and to try and drive your consumers to choose the option that will benefit you. And then we're going to see that there isn't a big difference between selling tobacco than increasing ticket sales. And if Bernays was able to, with a lot of understanding of what drives consumers, he was able to make green the color of fashion in 1935. So I'm sure that with some tricks, you guys can drive more paid registrations to your events. Thank you very much. I'd love to answer any questions if you have. Thank you. Sure.
So I plan events for a nonprofit, and because that market is so saturated, we're trying for like young professionals in New York, but all the nonprofits in New York are trying for young professionals to come to their events. So how do you suggest kind of getting into that market?
I think the starting point is that you identify exactly who your target audience is. So you already said the young professionals, New York. I would probably then try to understand where do they hang out most of the time, and try and be there, whether it's online or offline. If there are one interesting use case that event with that demographic did is using filters, location-based Snapchat filters. Are you familiar with that? Just for the rest of you, you can define on Snapchat that on a certain radius, you can run targeted ads or targeted filters, meaning that if I open Snapchat at a certain location, for example, Taxi Talk, I'm going to see a Taxi Talk filter appear on the list of my filters. And it definitely helps millennials be more attached to your brand and take advantage, and it helps you increase brand awareness. So definitely a lot of heavy social media promotion for that demographic. This is where they spend most of their time. And I think all of the elements we talked about here of constantly showing them who else is attending and trying to turn them to your event ambassadors. Another feature we have to help that is something we call Ticket Boost. Whenever someone is purchasing to an event, we invite them to share it on social media, and we reward them for that. And everything happens automatically, meaning they have an option to share a discount code. So so the friends will appreciate that a lot. Like I used to share a lot of Uber codes when they first started because it was amazing to share a discount with my friends. But not only that, Uber actually rewarded me by giving me credit for Uber rides. So this is exactly what can be done with ticket sales. You offer the option for your attendees to share discounts, and then you reward them with refunds. So it's a double-sided incentive model, and again, the technology offers that in a very seamless way. And then you turn those millennials into your ambassadors instead of you just inviting them. And this is where it's becoming exponential.
Oh, it was a bald-faced pitch. I'm with the Young Event Professionals. So check us out online. We have a list of 8,000 young event professionals. So it's youngeventpros.org.
Oh, okay.
And we can help you.
Great.
It was a pitch.
Amazing. Thank you very much.